Everybody. This episode of TTS Today is going to be the first of several talking about our quotation module. The highlight of the TTS platform allows you to manage all manufacturers' quotations in the TTS platform, send quotations via MS Outlook, automatic product pricing, internal notes, automatic informative emails to your quotation team, reusable bill of materials for ease of quotation creation and reporting. I say several different TTS Today videos because there's a lot to discuss about the quotation modules. And the first one today I'm going to talk about is going to be just a simple quotation without any setup on the system at all. So anybody who is a TTS user but hasn't really done anything in the TTS system, we have the ability to just create a quote right off the bat, very simply. And then as we go to subsequent videos, we'll show you more details and easier ways to get quotes into the system. So let's head over to the quotation tab and create a quote. To enter the quotation section of TTS, you'll go down to quotations, drop down the menu, and we have four options: create a customer quote, which we're going to do today, quote reports, which we'll talk about in a future video, search quotes, as well as vendor quotes. So clicking on create quotes, it opens up a screen which allows you to enter all the information in a quote. And we're going to go over most of these fields. So let's click this red arrow. I don't know if you remember from earlier videos, that does give you a little more real estate to work with. Okay, so working from the top down, let's enter a customer. Let's type in, we'll keep it Steve Draws. Quote name, this is required, and it could be any name. Enter. So let's do TTS Today. So next we have contractor. Contractor in the system is going to be all customers that are not considered a direct customer or a vendor. So I could start typing in the letter Z, for instance. Z plus electric is listed in this. These are again are set up in the customer list. Vendor. So a vendor on this system is going to give you the ability to generate reports. So you're not limited to just this one vendor entering information for that one vendor. So let's choose Steve's wire, and product groups again can be built in the system. I showed that in a previous video. Contacts, so under Steve's drawers, I happen to have two, but if you wanted a free form, you uncheck this and then you can type in any name. Quotation date, today's date. If you remember to change that, you click on it, you get a calendar pop up. Reusable bill of material, again, we're not going to use this today, but this is another way of entering all this quote information. I wanted to show you simply how to enter a quote without setting up anything. So reusable bill of material requires a little bit of setup. Not a lot, but we'll go over that in another video. So let's leave that blank for now. Moving over, we have our quote type. Again, you have a project stock. You can even customize this. So if I wanted a TTS Today demo, which I built again in the system previous to this. Status defaults to buy, open, and bid are the current statuses that we have available at the start of a quote. Ship to is again a free form. If you have a ship to address that you want to enter into the system under this quote, you can just type that information in. And quotation notes. So these are going to be the notes that are attached to the quote. So anybody who receives this quote will get to see this information. We can add an existing quote that we have built in the system, or we can create a new one. So if I click on add, for instance, you'll notice we have quotes that are designated for all quotations. And then I have one custom. So thank you for your business. I can add that to quote. I can do no returns, for instance, and let's close this. And if I needed to enter more information, 30 net, whatever, net 30 days. So you can highlight this. I can delete this, no returns. You know what? This customer is allowed to have returns. I can edit this information. But again, We've added these two buttons to make it easy to enter notes in the system without having to type too much information. Moving down, we have change unit price. We're not going to worry about pricing currently. Uh, add item. Again, if you have a product file built in the system, you can just type in the catalog number, for instance, and pull up that product's information. We're going to do this very simply. Add a row. So if you have multiple rows and you want to insert a row, you can do that. Copy table will go over in the reusable bill of material information, but basically it copies everything that's in the table or the body of the quote. Delete a row if you need to delete a row. Hide header. I'm actually going to hide the header right now. Gives us a little more space to type quote lines. Pricing again is associated with a product file. We're going to go over that in a future video. Product info, product mix. We'll demo this in a little bit. So let's actually enter some information in here. So I'm just going to enter some numbers. So this is going to be PVC pipe. And a quantity of 50. Again, you don't have to type any information in, but we can put it in if we want. And then it will do the calculations for you. Let's enter a couple more. And again, manual entering is the longest way to enter quotes. I just want to show you without any setup, I can get a quote in the system fairly quickly without too much fuss getting data in the back end. Okay. All right, so that's good enough for the information. I'm going to bring our header back. So now moving on, we have product information. So if I had some product information about this, or basically that would be history data. And again, I'll show these examples in future videos. But if I clicked on product information, if I had history on this information, it will show you the highest price quoted and give you all that information, the quote name, the customer name, the lowest price quoted, internal notes that are assigned to that. So we can get that information just from this screen without having to look up previous quotes. It'll show right up here. Product mix. When I click on this, if there are groups associated with it, it'll give you a percentage of how many wire groups there are, how many fittings groups there are. Just a snapshot of this quotation shows you the mixture of the items in that quotation. Submittal package. Submittal package will give you the ability to get a spec sheet for all this information. I don't have anything set up for this particular data right here, but again, we'll show that in future videos. Toast stock will work here, so I specifically entered this. So if this is a warehousing product that you carry and you want to check the stock without having to sign out or sign into another screen, clicking on toast stock, I can choose my vendor. And in this case, I'm going to use this. When I hit check stock, these two ports show up under Kodiak, for instance, in tow. So it shows me the stock and it says I have it available. If I click on add to remarks, what it'll do is it'll add the remarks into the quote body itself. Okay, and then again, these can be changed. And I can go in here in local stock and I can actually type in if I had the amounts, 6,000 available, whatever it is. Whatever you want to type in. Vendor stock would be a way of connecting to a vendor if you have a connected vendor without having to have it in your warehouse, without having to call up the vendor or go on their website. We would link to a vendor. This vendor is not linked. We'll demo that in another one. And then the last option here is your lighting template. Basically, that just adds a type column to your quote body. All right, moving over to the side, we have different ways of entering a quote. Again, we just typed it in, but you can actually import quotes if you have a quote in an Excel-based format or even a comma separated value file. Factory quotes, again, we're going to go over all these in another video, but we can enter a factory quote. That would be just assigning a PDF, for instance, to the quote without having any body to it. Internal notes are amongst the quotation team. Nobody outside will see that, so you can have a conversation about a quote, about pricing, how we should handle the customer, for instance. These are all internal, and you'll see later on your mobile device, for instance, you can answer these from the road and easily communicate with the quotation team without having to pick up the phone and dialing or emailing. You do it right inside the quotation email that you receive. We can print a quote, refresh. If we had a whole bunch of zero quantities, we wanted to clean them out, we would hit refresh. Save, we'll save the quote. I'm not ready to send it yet, so I'll click on save and it'll automatically save for us. Send and save will do just that, and we're going to do that in a second. We'll talk about these options in a second. Quotation team, Steve's drawer happened to have an outside salesperson named Steve. Had an additional salesperson named House A, and it also had an outside consultant named Steve as well. If I wanted to add additional people, now these are all the salespeople in the system or the users in the system, I could double click on Sally and add her. If I made a mistake, I could double click and you'll get a little pop up. You can remove Sally. Quotation manager, I'm signed in as the quotation manager. And reusable bill of material, this is how you would set up and create reusable bills of material. So that is creating a quote. We haven't done anything with it, but in the next step, we'll send this quote out.